So children, if you can see here, this is the internal structure of the heart. It is the internal structure of the heart. So now we'll see what are the different parts present in the internal structure of the heart. So when you cut the heart, right, what are the things what are the parts which you see inside? That is what we are going to discuss, right? So if you see these two, this one is the right atrium, or else you can also call it as the right auricle, right auricle. And exactly to this side you can see the left atrium, or else you can call it as the left auricle. Okay, right here it's called as the left auricle. Okay, and now the next part is here. This one is called as the right ventricle. Right ventricle. Okay, right ventricle. Okay, this one is called as the left ventricle. Left ventricle. There is a valve present in between the right auricle and right auricle and right ventricle. Okay, and also there is a valve present in between left auricle and left ventricle, right? The valve which is present between the right auricle and the right ventricle is called as the right auriculo-ventricular valve, which is also known as tricuspid valve. Which is also known as tricuspid valve. And there is a valve present in between, okay, left ventricle and right auricle. Okay, left auricle and left ventricle. This valve is called as the bicuspid valve. This bicuspid valve is also called as the mitral valve. It's also called as the mitral valve. Okay, so now I'm just trying to put a box to all the parts which we have seen. Okay, so now you know what is left atrium, bicuspid valve, left ventricle, okay, and right auriculo-ventricular valve, which is also called as the tricuspid valve, and also the right ventricle, and also the right atrium. So these are the different parts of the heart which we are going to study. Right, now coming to the remaining all, whatever the words which are present here are the names of the blood vessels. Okay, so we'll see the different blood vessels which are present here. This one is the inferior vena cava. Okay, this is the inferior vena cava. It is the superior vena cava. Okay, superior vena cava. And here this one is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery, which goes into the right, it takes the right branch and goes into the lungs. Okay, pulmonary artery. And in the same way here you can see pulmonary artery which is going into the left branch. Okay, this one, these two are the left pulmonary veins. Okay, pulmonary veins which are on the left side, and these are the right pulmonary veins. Okay, right, and then okay, the last one we are going to see here is the systemic aorta, systemic aorta, and also blood vessels which go to the left arm and also which are going into the artery. Okay, artery which goes to the head. Okay, so now these are the parts, right? So these are the parts which we are going to study now, and we are going to study them in detail. Okay. Okay children, till now we have seen the different parts of the heart. Now what we'll try to do is we'll try to understand each and every part's function. Okay, this is a very important bit. I am going to draw an imaginary things and all now, so it is not the accurate heart which I'm going to draw. That is you have to keep in your mind. After doing this, we'll go ahead with the original picture of the heart and also its the functions and each and every function of each and every part. So now for your understanding, I will simplify this in such a way that it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, now everybody look onto the board. I will repeat each and every sentence twice so that it will sit in your mind. Okay children, now okay children, so what we are going to do now is we are going to see the different parts and the functions. Already we have seen the heart structure of the heart and also the parts present in them, right? So now what we are going to see is, we are going to see all the parts of the heart and also their functions now. Now what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to draw an imaginary things and all here, and the imaginary heart. Okay, you imagine that it is a heart. What I've drawn here is a different kind of structure, but still you imagine that this is the heart. And also we'll see all the different functions of each and every part which is connected to the heart. So I want everybody to completely concentrate so that you can understand what is going on. Okay, so I think that this will be a lot better, and it will be very easy for your understanding. Okay children, so let's go now. Now this is the heart. This is the heart. Now already we have seen that, okay, this structure over here. So children, already we have seen that this is the, okay, this is the one septum, okay, which is called as the septum, which is dividing the heart into two chambers, right? Auricle and ventricle. Auricle and ventricle. So this chamber is called as auricle. This chamber is called as ventricle. At the same time, there is one more septum which is dividing, okay, which is a line like this, which is, okay, in length, and this is called as the, okay, this is also the septum, which is dividing because of these two lines, which we can see externally. The heart is divided into four chambers, right? So this one we are calling it as the auriculo ventricular septum. This one we are calling it as auricular septum. This one we are calling it as ventricular septum. Ventricular septum. So auricles and ventricles. So now here these two auricles, as they are now divided, like, so we are calling it as the right auricle, and this side left auricle, and these two are called as the right ventricle. This one is called as the left ventricle. So now we got an idea of the four different chambers, right? Right auricle, left auricle, right ventricle and left ventricle. Okay, this is the auriculoventricular septum. This is auricular septum. This is ventricular septum. Okay children, so I'm rubbing this one now because we have many things to draw and write here now. Okay, so now these are the four chambers which are very important for our learning. Okay, now the basic thing what happens here is, okay, now you see here, this is a human body. Assume that this is a human body, right? Now this part is the head and this is the neck. Now this is the rest of the body. That means this is the superior parts. Head and neck are the superior parts and these are the inferior parts. Okay, these are the inferior parts. Now basically what happens here is, whatever the deoxygenated blood which is now present in the body, right? Because oxygen will be taken by the human being and all, that will go into the lungs, and from lungs it will go into each and every cell of the body, and in each and every cell that will be converted to carbon dioxide. Okay, now the blood has to bring that deoxygenated blood. What is deoxygenated blood? We are talking about the deoxygenated blood, right? Deoxygenated in the sense, the blood which have carbon dioxide, which doesn't have the oxygen, right? So now that blood is carried. Now that should come to the blood, that should come to the heart, that blood should come to the heart. So there should be some blood vessels which are bringing that blood to the heart. So there are two blood vessels which bring that blood to the heart. Okay, I'm drawing it here now. Now one such blood vessel which brings from head, okay, and also from the neck region, right? So there is a blood vessel which brings the blood from head and neck, which are the superior parts, and they will bring the blood to the right auricle. they'll bring the blood to the right auricle, and this is called as the superior vena cava. So this is the superior vena cava, right? This is a large vein present in our body. So superior vena cava, what it is bringing here? It is bringing the which blood? Deoxygenated blood. So what do you mean by deoxygenated blood? Deoxygenated in the sense it is bringing the deoxy blood. What is deoxy blood? Which doesn't have the oxygen, which is full of carbon dioxide. So that blood which is impure, okay, that will be brought from the head and the neck to the right auricle by one of the large vein which is called as the superior vena cava. Okay, so there is one more large vein in our body, right? So now here, now this is the rest of the body, that is the inferior parts. I told you, no, these are the inferior parts. So there is one more vein or vena cava. Vena cava in the sense large veins are usually called as vena cava. Okay, so now here I am drawing here one more. I have drawn here one more vein which is called as the inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava also brings the same, that is the deoxygenated blood. That is whatever the blood which is not pure, which is impure, which doesn't have the oxygen, which is having the carbon dioxide. So that blood is brought to again right auricle. That means now one thing should be one thing is very clear to us, right? What is that? That is the right auricle is receiving which blood? Which blood it is receiving? It is receiving the deoxygenated blood. Okay, it is receiving the deoxygenated blood. So which large veins are bringing the deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body to the right auricle? Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So superior vena cava and inferior vena cava are the two large veins. Okay, that's the reason why they are called as vena cava. They are bringing the blood to the right auricle. So right auricle, what is it receiving? It is receiving the deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body. Superior vena cava is bringing the deoxygenated blood from head and neck, and from the rest of the body, inferior vena cava is bringing the deoxygenated blood to the right auricle. So right auricle is a place where the complete deoxygenated blood will be stored. Is it clear? Okay. Now how many vessels we have completed now here? We completed 2 blood vessels. One is the superior vena cava and second one is the inferior vena cava. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll draw the lungs here. Now this particular body, no, it is completely except lungs. Except lungs, we are talking about that body is except lungs. So I have taken the lungs here. I have drawn the lungs here. Now whatever the body which I have drawn there, okay, that is except lungs, right? So because I am drawing the lungs here, right? So now here, whatever the blood which is in the right auricle, okay, that will be sent into the right ventricle. So whatever the blood, deoxygenated blood which is present in the right auricle will be sent into the right ventricle through a valve. Okay, see here, through an aperture here, which is called as the right auriculoventricular aperture. Okay, this is called as the right auriculoventricular aperture, where there will be a valve. Valve in the sense what we have seen the epiglottis, right? So we have seen the epiglottis, the same kind of valve which is present here, and the work of the valve, like it is exactly as the valve of a cycle works. So when there is no air in the cycle, what you try to do is you will try to fill the air in it, isn't it? So the air goes inside, but does it come out? No, it doesn't come out. Have you seen that air coming out? No, it never comes out, isn't it? So that is the reason why we have a valve here. So this valve, what it is doing is, it is allowing the blood to travel from right auricle to the left ventricle, So when the right auricle contracts, the blood comes to the right ventricle. That means now the right ventricle also will have which blood now? Deoxygenated blood. Do you think this deoxygenated blood which is in the right ventricle will go back to the right auricle? No. From the right ventricle the blood will never goes back to the right auricle, because there is a valve which is present here. It will not allow the blood to return. Okay, it will not allow the blood to return. It will not allow the blood to go back. So it will stop it. So now the blood is in the right ventricle. And now when the right ventricle contracts, now the blood will come into another artery here. Okay, this is the artery here. Okay, we are calling it as artery. So this is called as the pulmonary artery. It is called as the pulmonary artery. And now what is the blood which is carrying here? It is carrying the deoxygenated blood. And where does it go? It goes to, okay, so when it is traveling, it goes out like this and divides into two branches. Okay, it divides into two branches, and one will go to the right lung and the other will go to the left lung. Okay, the other will go to the left lung. That means the blood which is in the right ventricle, when the right ventricles are contracted, the blood will come into the pulmonary artery. It will travel to where? It will travel to the lungs. And here in the lungs, what happens here is there are alveoli. Already we have seen that there are alveoli here, right? So all these alveoli, this is a place where the exchange of gases will take place, isn't it? The exchange of gases will take place in the alveoli, right? So what happens here is, so when the deoxygenated blood comes here, now this blood will get oxygenated. So whatever the deoxygenated blood comes here, okay, whatever the deoxygenated blood which is coming here, okay, the green ones are all deoxygenated, and now they will get oxygenated. They'll get oxygenated, okay, and now again this oxygenated blood should go to each and every part of our body. They should go to each and every part of our body, and that's why they need to travel back again. So how they will travel now? How they have to travel? Again, there is a need of a blood vessel. Okay, there is a need of a blood vessel which has to take the blood from lungs to the heart. So now what is the blood vessel which is taking the blood from lungs to the heart? Okay, so I'm drawing here now. This is the blood vessel which is taking the blood from lungs to the heart. So what is that? This is called as the pulmonary vein. So this pulmonary vein here, what it is carrying here? It is carrying the pure blood. So pulmonary vein is traveling from lungs. It is carrying the oxygenated blood from the lungs, and it is taking that blood, okay, into the left auricle. Okay, that means what does the left auricle will have now? It will have the oxygenated blood. So the left auricle will have what? Oxygenated blood, isn't it? So now here, this oxygenated blood is brought by pulmonary vein, which is the pure blood, which has the oxygen in it, Now, this blood should be transported to each and every part of our body, isn't it? So now here what happens is, now the blood which is here should come to the left ventricle, So how it will come? It has to pass through this wall, but there's a septum here, right? So again, this septum will also have a valve. Okay, it also will have a valve, which is called as the bicuspid valve, which is also called as the mitral valve. This valve, which is present in between the right auricle and right ventricle, is called as tricuspid valve, and the one which is in between the left auricle and left ventricle is called as the bicuspid valve, which is also called as the mitral valve. Okay, so through this mitral valve, the oxygenated blood will come to left ventricle. That means left ventricle will have which blood? It will have the oxygenated blood. So again, okay, a very, very big aorta, which is called as the systemic aorta, Okay, so this is the systemic aorta. Okay, it will carry the pure blood to the different parts of the body. In the picture we have seen that one will travel to the head, isn't it? So one will travel to the head and other will travel to the left arm, so that the blood will be transported to all parts of the body. Okay, so now here, this is the systemic aorta, which is carrying the blood, which is the completely oxygenated blood, and that will be carried to each and every part of the body. Once it goes to each and every part of the body, again the blood will get deoxygenated. Again, the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, which are the large veins, they will carry the blood to the right auricle. Okay, at the same time, okay, the pure blood which is in the lungs will be carried to the left auricle. Okay, when these two, that is auricles, they contract, the blood comes into right ventricle and the left ventricle. Again, these ventricles will contract, so the blood will get into the lungs, and also the blood will go into the each and every part of the body. So this is how the circulatory system works. So this is the basic idea behind the working of the circulatory system. Okay, children, is it clear? If it's not clear, okay, let's once again look into all the things which we have studied. Okay, we'll also see some differences. Okay, children, so what we'll do is we'll try to stop here, and tomorrow we'll continue with the same thing. I'll also explain you this diagram tomorrow once again. Okay, children, then I'll try to take a leave. We'll catch up tomorrow, and then we'll try to learn more about the internal structure of the heart. Until then, see you all. Take care. Have a nice day.